Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kris Kloss, and this is Cali's Finest exclusively on the Wrestling Chatter YouTube channel. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. You'll really help us out. The more subscribers we get, the more great content we can bring to you. Now, Cali's Finest right here. You know who's one of Cali's Finest? He's simply known as Watts, the big man Watts. Of course, all up and down the Golden State. And we talk about his tryout with Tough Enough, one of the contenders right there. And man, this guy is a menace. He is very recognizable. We talk about his training in professional wrestling, where he's at now, and where he plans to be in the future. This is Watts. This is Cali's Finest. My name is Kris Kloss. Hey, you. Enjoy the episode. Oh, man. Pleasure to have Eric Watts on this edition of Cali's Finest right here on the Wrestling Chatter YouTube channel. Thank you, fans, for subscribing and tuning in to this episode. Eric Watts, my friend, good to see you. How you doing?
Doing well, man. I don't use Eric anymore. I love you. I just like to be Watts. Eric Watts.
Okay,
It has a brand. That's not my brand. I'm just Watts.
Okay.
Caps lock. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? I totally got it. So this is a new branding, and you are Watts. And for those of you that knew your history, it is now Watts officially.
That's it.
Thank
like
you.
The city. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Sure.
Well, speaking of back in the day, can you tell the fans a little bit about yourself in California, growing up as a wrestling fan, in general, like just growing up a wrestling fan?
Tell you what, man. Like I grew up in the hoods of Pasadena, California, and wrestling. There was a small pocket of us, but for the most part, wasn't nobody trying to watch wrestling. You know what I mean? So you were kind of like, growing up in the projects or whatnot, you kind of were like seen as, a little weirdo for liking wrestling. So like, I watched it. With that being the case, I still found, other fellow weirdos to come watch wrestling with me. So it's just some of my best memories are from watching wrestling in the hood. You know what I mean? Like that was new generation, that new generation era, like with Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels and all them. And then before that, like a tail end of Hulkamania and all that stuff. So yeah, man,
Yeah.
whole life.
Yeah. So you kind of grew up more in the as a youngster, you were kind of more in the 90s or the 80s? More in the 90s, huh?
We more the 90s, like as far as like my age, but mom would rent me Coliseum home video, and I get all of it. I had all the contacts and everything.
Right.
So but as far as like new wrestling, it was more the 90s. Yeah.
And so you're in high school. Let's say high school. What year did you graduate?
03.
Oh, okay. So you were more of 90s. I graduated 94. So we're like 9 years apart. And so I remember the 80s as a kid, like the weekly TV shows and all that. But but no, you're right. Once you get the tapes, you it's easy to play catch up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. For sure. That was the network before the network.
Yeah. Right. And so what made you decide to pursue pro wrestling, and like when was it at that time in your life, Watts, that you kind of understood, hey, I want to be in this business. I get it. I see it. I want to be a part of this.
Well, I went to a PWG show. And actually, okay, let me back up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, like I said, I've always loved wrestling as far back as I can remember. Like most of us, we wrestled around with our friends, living rooms, whatever, just as kids. And then I got into college age, and then I saw flyers on a bulletin board, and one of those flyers was of a show called PWG, and I had never even heard of anything outside of WWE or the big companies of the world. But I hadn't heard of PWG. This was like 2006 maybe.
Oh,
and
wow.
2005 maybe, and early, way back in the Sweatbox days, and and I saw a couple of names on the flyer that I didn't know, but I also saw AJ Styles' name on the flyer, and I knew who that was. So I was like, oh, I get to see AJ Styles, and I saw Christopher Daniels' name on the flyer. I was like, oh, Christopher, like I see these guys on TV. So I went and went to the show and got really inspired, and then started training, and the rest, and that was that.
Okay, so you're talking 2005, 2006, and
Yeah.
why? Which wrestling school did you first go to?
So my very first wrestling training took place at New Tradition Wrestling / New Tradition Lucha Libre, which is out in the San Fernando Valley. So Lucha Libre is kind of my very first any kind of training was Lucha Libre, and then from there I got the bulk of my training at Knokx Pro Academy out in Burbank at the time, Burbank.
Wow. Okay, and then we're talking again, circa 2005, 2006.
Oh no, that was 2000. I joined Knokx Pro in 2008, but
Oh wow, not till 08. Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, I think it was.
You were a youngin' then when I first saw you. I didn't, I have to say, dude, I didn't. I mean, I know I hadn't seen you around, but I guess it just never dawned on me that you were just starting out at that time. Man.
That was a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, just started.
Was there anyone that you trained with that's still out there, whether in the indies, WWE, AEW?
Oh yeah. The most notable I'd say is Miro, the Redeemer. From AEW. Yeah, he and I trained together. Ricardo Rodriguez.
Oh yeah.
Pro as well. He had prior training.
Oh yeah. He went back.
Yeah, he had, but so he showed me a lot of my stuff, how to roll early on. But him, Miro, a couple other dudes who've gone on to do lots of great things, but those two come to mind probably first.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What can you tell the fans out there watching right now memories of your first official match, and for what promotion was that?
Okay.
And everybody remembers their first official match.
Yes. My first official match was I honestly don't remember the name of the promotion. I think I know it was out in Oxnard. It was like one of those big lucha promotions out in Oxnard. Okay, the ones that they bring out like Parka and Demon and all those guys, like all those massive cars that they would have, and then they would throw on like new booties on the undercard and shit, and we were like, oh, I get to be in the same card as like all these legends, but it was for one of those, and it was against Chimera.
Okay. Oh, there you go, Ricardo Rodriguez, man.
Yeah.
Okay, and that was back up in Oxnard.
That was in Oxnard. I'm like 99.99% sure it was Oxnard. Okay. I couldn't keep the name of the company though.
And that would have been 2008.
That was 2000, either late 2007 or early 2008. I think it was like 2000. I think it was 2007.
Interesting.
Yeah.
A lot going on in SoCal at the time. That was when Wrestling Society X and a lot of things were going on locally.
Yeah, that was a hot time.
Yeah, that really was. So okay, you obviously look. Like I said, I was maybe not aware of it, but I just never came to mind thinking that you were so young at that time. Even though you were a newbie, and I didn't know that you had just started the training, because I still remember that circa doing shows, running into you, and basically meeting you and hitting it off with you pretty early on. And it's just one of those things where I just didn't think to even ask you, I guess. Yeah. But okay, and you've come a long way, and but when you first broke in, let's face it, you have a look, you have the size, you have the height. It's not too common in professional wrestling, but you made a lot of waves early on, and you turned a lot of heads, and now you have the experience to back that up, and you're still young, But so with that said, can you talk a little bit about how your look got you to places because of people turning their heads and looking at you? And case in point, asking you right now, and can you please talk a little bit about your experience applying for WWE's Tough Enough?
Yeah. That so whenever I think of shows like that, I never think of anything other than trying out. I don't think of any of the other processes that might come with that. But it was a long process, and it
Wow.
started out with phone calls. The casting agency actually came to a few Hollywood championship wrestling from Hollywood shows, and I think that's probably may have been where they saw me. And they're scouting a few of us. It wasn't like they were looking at a few of us back then. I think yeah, they're looking at a lot of us. And so, but whenever as we progress, some of us got called back, some of us didn't. And then eventually we got the big callback to the like with all the fly-ins, all the finalists or whatever, and then we had to try out in front of the producers and impress them and show them our character and tell them our story, kind of let them see how we move, how we look on camera and stuff. And actually I almost didn't make the show. It came down to me and another guy. So everyone had gotten one interview, just one shot. But it was between me and this other guy. They liked both of us, but they couldn't have us both on the show. So they brought us both back. And he obviously I made it and stuff. And yeah, but it was like that. This whole process took months. And meanwhile, I was a student in college. So I was trying to wrestle, trying to finish my degree, without any family or parental support or anything of any kind, doing it on my own and trying to make it in SoCal as any wrestler.
Yeah.
Probably wasn't the smartest thing to try to do, but I did it. But all this was happening during Tough Enough, so I had to like drop out of school to go to Tough Enough.
Oh wow.
And that that really kind of like they were kind of pissed about it, just right in the middle of the semester, just boom, done.
Yeah.
The school, but I was like, I don't care. Of course, I like 10 times out of 10, I would have done the same. Like I would do that every time.
Where were you going? Where were you going to school?
I was at Cal State, LA.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
We have something in common. I moved to New York. I had a chance to do a Broadway show, and this was back in 2004, 2005, and I had to quit school, but my teachers let me come back and take finals in December, and I got to do that.
Nice.
Yeah, I got lucky, and I had to do all my work, turn it in. Like they gave me all the work backlogged. So I did it, moved to New York, and then I flew back, took my finals, passed that. So then I stopped that semester for a year, then went back when I came. Anyway.
Goddamn.
Yeah, man.
I got,
oh, that was
that's cool. I did that for you though, man. That's like, that doesn't happen a lot. Like
no,
that's awesome.
Yeah, dude. I was like, I have no control over this. I got to move and all this, and luckily they were cool, and man, oh man, but I know that feeling. I want to ask you, when about the Tough Enough,
yeah.
did they have you stay in the Tough Enough house, or were you able to drive home every day?
Oh, so yeah, all right. So there was a house we were in. It's out in Simi Valley, and
okay. Simi, okay.
Simi, and it's called the Hummingbirds Ranch or Hummingbirds Nest or something like that. And they've filmed like multiple shows there, reality shows. Yeah. And we just got to stay there. Had all the accommodations we could ever want. Just beautiful space, beautiful training facility. But we had to give up our phones, and we couldn't have any sort of communication with the outside world. And the only time we were allowed to have phone calls, it was once a week, and it had to be on speaker, and they had to be able to record it. So
no kidding.
So yeah, I was gone for about a month of real time. About a month of real time. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Answer your question. Sorry. Last thing.
Oh yeah, please.
This doesn't really answer your question. It kind of answers your question, but I wasn't able to go home. But when I got eliminated, though, I was able to be in my own bed that night, whereas other people who got eliminated had to like be eliminated at a hotel by themselves and weren't able to be at home right away. So that as crappy as that was, like that was at least I had that.
Yeah. No, I hear you, man. That's almost like bittersweet. You know, bitter
Yeah.
you got cut, but it's sweet. I feel at home, and yeah, that's an interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is something I never really would have thought of. That's cool. Thanks for sharing that, man.
Yeah, man.
What was it like sharing the ring? Got to ask you this. What was it like sharing the ring with the legendary Stone Cold, Steve Austin?
Well, I mean, Steve Austin he's a large man. He like is a huge dude. He does
And
not
that's coming from
coming from
somebody
me.
that,
He's a
yeah.
that's a big boy,
Wow.
and he has a presence about him, and
Mm.
he just like being face to face with him, you know, the way that I was, and like getting to really fucking peer into his soul, you know, like that was something else. Like that's something you're born with, and you can't really teach that. And he's just a larger than life presence, you know, and he's always himself. Like that's what he is 100% of the time, 24/7. He does it. That's not a gimmick. That's him. And yeah, incredible.
Wow. And yeah, man, what an experience, you know. You learned a lot there, would you say?
Oh, I'd probably learn more in that month than years of other stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Just I'm learning all the masterclass knowledge from all the masters, you know, like you can't really ask for much more than that.
You can't ask for much more than that. And I would say, alongside of learning from something like that, which is so valuable, is just the learning from growing from all the direct experience of having matches. But you're kind of taking a big shortcut by condensing it all in one small moment right there, which is that month or however long you were there learning. It's so valuable, and not many people get that experience.
No, they don't. That's just how the business goes, you know.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, man. What was the buzz, Watts, after after it was all said and done? What was the buzz after your Tough Enough stint? Like, did you get more bookings? Was there more interest? Did they say, "Hey, sorry, you know, maybe somewhere down the road we'll have you back and try out again," and all of the above? Like, what were all those? How did all those change, if any at all?
Yeah, definitely a lot more interest, definitely a lot more bookings. I got to my rate certainly went up.
Yeah,
And I got a lot of opportunities that I wouldn't have had otherwise, I feel like. So it helped just with the immediate financial boost was nice. It was. And you know, I'm grateful for that.
yeah,
And that, you know, that show put me in WWE's radar at the time. So like I got to do more, you know, kind of do more like extra work stuff and other tryout stuff. But yeah, I feel like now I feel like me now though I'm a completely different person than I was back then. I don't even like the same stuff. I'm just my tastes are different. Like the way I live my life is different. My views on things are different. Like I think if Tough Enough were to happen right now, things would have been a lot different.
wow,
But you know that doesn't matter. But it's just that's just life though. That's growing and you know learning from your younger self and like just kind of making sure you don't repeat the same mistakes.
yeah, 100%, man. And thanks for sharing that too, and thanks for sharing that for some of the younger guys breaking into the business now too. Working, talk a little bit about you working for Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, because there's a lot of exposure there, and uh, great outfit, and a lot of big names going through there. There had to be a lot of learning experience there as well.
Oh yeah, I think that any wrestler any performer who has come through those curtains at Hollywood is better are among the best TV wrestlers on whatever show they're on, because Hollywood gives invaluable experience, and especially when it comes to TV and like cameras and hard
Yeah,
cam and
right.
and things like that and facials and so like it's just it's really hard to teach that even in a school. You know what I mean? It's that live, television experience
Yeah.
uh, is just such an advantage.
Yeah.
So I think that helped me a lot. Well, I know it helped me a lot, and yeah, that's probably the biggest thing that they one of the big, like you can just tell the guys that have been in Hollywood. You can just tell, like they just there's just certain things that we do, and it's cool.
It's amazing how much sometimes that you have to teach people about the hard cam. I personally, I'm like, how hard is this? It's right there.
Yeah,
Like, it's
yeah,
unbelievable. But I get it. If I'm not talking about during a match. I'm talking about just standing in there with the microphone. It's like, dude, really? Come on, man. It's right there.
I don't understand it.
And sometimes I remember, like, early on, some guys like, okay, there's the hard camera. Where is it facing? That way? Okay, so I'm gonna face that way. No,
Right.
okay.
What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing here?
Right.
What
Oh
are we
my
doing?
gosh. Oh my gosh, man. But yeah, that was just one of my I just would always crack up about that, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for real though.
Yeah. Can you talk about Watts, can you talk a little bit more about not just championship wrestling from Hollywood, but kind of working for all the different outfits throughout California that you've had success in and that have invited you to be a board of their events. Again, a few of them we've crossed paths in throughout the years. But can you talk about some of the notable indies and maybe some of your um, uh, great experience, memorable experiences at certain indies around SoCal or California?
Yeah, I mean, I've loved my shots up at Hoodslam. Uh,
Oh, Hoodslam, yeah.
that place is
Pogo.
so much fun. Yeah, Pogo's a
Yeah.
big Joe up there, and then also the old APW back in the day. I
Mhm.
there, and in SoCal, we have done a ton of the old bar wrestling stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that was a really fun time. Did a lot for a lot of people. Did a lot for me. It was, sad it had to go, but it probably had to go.
Yeah.
We had to go.
Right.
But you know, just yeah, I've done a lot. I've got to do a lot of cool stuff. I'm drawing blanks right now because I'm tired.
Oh, yeah. No worries.
uh, uh, no, I've gotten to do lots of cool stuff. Lots of promotions who aren't running anymore. I've gotten to do lots of stuff for them. But yeah, I've been lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a fortunate thing to be in this business and kind of like living out. Going back to when you're a kid, can you pinpoint like an age that you kind of like, I knew I get this. I want to be a part of this. Like about what age you were?
Um, I don't know. Always, I can't really remember.
Okay.
I can't remember ever not wanting to do it. Like, it became real for me though in college because
Okay.
I did a couple years of college football, and I was like, I knew I wanted to wrestle. I knew I wasn't like I didn't have the like NFL didn't seem like a possibility.
Yeah.
So I didn't like. I just like I like I've seen what an NFL player looks like. I've seen what they do. I've seen their metrics and all that stuff. And like we're just being real here. That wasn't me.
Right.
So I would need to have worked extremely hard just to get told, get the hell out of here. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
it didn't make a whole lot of sense to keep investing like my body into football. So, and I then went
Mhm.
to my first love, which back to wrestling, and found started my path doing that. And yeah, where I grew up, we didn't. You don't really find wrestling teams in the hood. Like you don't. You just don't. So like, there's nothing there's no wrestling team that I could have been a part of. So I played football. It was the closest thing to it.
Right.
And then I did the same in college. And then once I was like over football, I was like, now we're doing this. This is stupid. I want to do the thing. I'm gonna do the thing that I want to do now. Let's do it.
Right.
So that's what I did.
Gotcha, man. Did you growing up like, okay, I know you're about 9 years, we're about 9 years apart. When you were a kid, was WWF, were they still doing shows at the LA Sports Arena when you were a kid?
I don't know. Like, we didn't have the money to really go to any shows.
Right.
I didn't really start going to stuff until Attitude Era.
Okay.
Because that's when
okay. So that would have been Arrowhead Pond, Anaheim.
Yeah, Arrowhead Pond. Yeah, the pond.
Well, it was like between the Sports Arena and Staples Center days, which would have been Anaheim Pond.
Yeah. That's kind of when I started going to shows. Yeah.
So you started going to shows then? Okay.
Yeah, it was late. It was real late. We just couldn't afford it. You know.
No, I got you, man. I'm believe it or not, if I got a ticket to go somewhere, it was a treat. You know.
Yeah.
It was a treat, and or it was like somebody got a freebie somewhere. But
right.
But yeah, no, man, growing up in Southern California, that's interesting. So can you talk about the time now? Was there, you represented SoCal in AEW?
Oh, yes. So that was.
And how did that all go down? How did that transpire? And for the fans that didn't see that.
Yeah, that was.
Or the fans that don't know what we're talking about.
Yes. We had, it was September of 2020. This was
okay,
and well, that one was, and then and it was, so I don't know if you remember, but during lockdown or the pandemic, well, we're still in a pandemic, but during the old pandemic,
I got you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. United Wrestling Network put on Primetime Live, which was like a Tuesday during the week weekly pay-per-view. Okay. And so one particular set of tapings or pay-per-view, I wrestled. He is now known as Max Dupree, former Eli Drake, former LA Knight, former Sean Ricker. I wrestled him as Eli Drake. We went like 25 minutes that match. Wow. And then from there, I raced to the airport and hopped on a plane to Jacksonville, and then did this stuff with AEW, and that was a really, really fun week. I got to get to do work for the two best shows at the time that were out, and so that was huge. But that was fun. I got to tag with Ray Roses against Jungle Boy and Rikishi, and I thought we had a fun match. The crowd liked it. People said nice things about it. I made the stupid mistake of spitting. Like, so sometimes when I'm in the moment, like, I don't do it anymore, but like sometimes Shawn Michaels will get hit and you'll just see gum fly out. It looks like you lost the tooth, you know what I mean? I need to remember that I'm not fucking Shawn Michaels. But I had a moment where I thought I was, and I did it, and it landed on a camera lens.
Oh, what a
disaster.
Try doing that another time on purpose. Like, what are the odds?
And I was like, no way. So like, I gotta talk to, as I should have, about it. And
yeah.
I think that derailed some momentum there. But I was backstage at the most recent AEW LA Loop like a couple weeks ago.
We saw each other at the forum.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Yes, we did. That was my first time at the forum ever. That was it.
No way.
First time at the forum.
Oh my gosh, man! I was one of the reasons I was like interested in going, because I want to see wrestling at the forum again.
Yeah.
Because I grew up, again, when we were able to get a treat, I would go. First Laker game I went to was 86, 87 when I was real little.
Hell yeah.
I was there with the whole Showtime.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So the forum is like, it's just beautiful sanctuary to me, man. So
beautiful. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then seeing some wrestling there too, but mostly I saw wrestling at the Sports Arena, LA Sports Arena.
Yeah.
But going in there, seeing the forum, that's great. I cannot believe that's your first time at the forum, man.
First time.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I'm pretty stoked about that. Yeah, that was cool.
Heck yeah, there's so much history, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so glad they renovated it. They didn't tear it down like, unfortunately, they did to the Sports Arena,
Right. Yeah.
Did you ever go to the LA Sports Arena?
Yeah. I saw. I did. So I went to, like, I was really young. I just remember flashes of this, but I remember the Red Rooster being. I think I remember the Red Rooster being stretchered out. I think he missed. I think maybe he got squashed by someone there, or I don't know. But I want to say I don't really remember that night. I just remember that image in my head for some reason.
So
That's the
you
only.
were really young when you
I was way too young to be there. I was like, well, I wasn't. Probably wasn't.
we're talking 89, 90.
Yeah, no,
Wow.
I guess. Well, I wasn't. I wasn't. I wasn't. I was stupid. It wasn't. I was falling asleep and not knowing processing.
You were in the little stroller crib thing.
Yeah, I was a little stupid. Yeah.
Not wait a minute, not a little one, but a big baby one.
Yeah, I wouldn't care.
So okay, so that's cool. So that was your one and only time at the sports.
That was the one. That was my one. That had been my one and only time.
That you don't remember at all.
And I don't remember at all. But that's why I don't really count it. You know, it's like I guess I was there.
Right.
But,
wow, that was pretty cool, man. Talking to you right now, knowing that you just went to the forum for the first time, talking to you on Cali's finest. That's history right there, man.
Absolutely.
Isn't it beautiful in there? Like it looks different than Staples Center. It's a little bit smaller, but I don't know how did you like it? The feel of it in there.
I thought it was cool. I thought the size was cool. I like there's like a wall with like all the acts that have performed.
And then the bottom, right?
Yeah, that part is sweet.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, man.
It's
it's basically the Madison Square Garden of the West Coast.
100,000%. Let's just call it how it is. That's just what it is. Yeah.
And then add to that all the history with the sports, with all the championships. Come on, man. You know,
right.
Exactly. Yeah. Very cool that I saw you there at your first visit to the forum, man. If I would have known, I would have been like, come on, man, I'll show you here.
Yeah. Next time. You gotta do that next time.
Dude, I used to sit right up there when I was a little kid. So thanks, dude. That's a cool story about representing an AEW. Let me ask you, do you have a favorite Watts, do you have favorite matches and or opponents in SoCal, or again just California?
Yeah,
I know you're primarily in SoCal.
Yeah,
it will encompass the whole state, of course.
Yeah, favorite opponents. I always love my matches with Peter Avalon. I think he's one of the best. Ray Roses too. PP Ray.
Yeah.
Guys are awesome. I think Bateman's really good. I think he's one of the best. He's been around a long time. That's right. The goddamn man.
Yeah.
You know, and then there's there are guys that I don't feel like I've wrestled enough times. You know, like honestly, Bateman comes to mind actually. Tito, I don't feel like he and I have wrestled enough times. But there's so many good dudes out here, and it's just great. It's great. It's great to be.
Speaking of at the forum, have you and Jimmy Mayhem ever worked together?
We have never worked.
There's something there, man. There's some money to be made, whether a tag team, whether you tag, you break up, something. There's something there, man.
We've never crossed paths.
But that's like I feel that's a little bit of a Hogan Warrior, a little more.
Yeah.
I'm serious, man. Like, wow. Okay, we talk off camera. Don't want to give anything away, man. No. But I think the last time you were at Millennium Pro Wrestling in Chatsworth, give a shout out to Logan Paul, Logan X.
Logan Paul. Yes,
Paul,
I get it. I understand. I understand why this happened. I understand.
He probably loves it, right? Paul, Logan, and then X. Yeah. But shout out to Logan and MPW Chatsworth doing some great stuff. Weekly shows every Friday. But I think the last time you were there, I want to say it was either you and Rosas or you and was it Miggy Rose?
Yeah, I haven't wrestled Ray there yet. I don't know. Somehow we avoided each other at MPW. I don't know how that's happened, but we have.
Maybe it was either Miggy or Diego Valens. You were doing something with a program.
It was probably Miggy out of those two.
Yeah, I think it was Miggy.
Most recently, but I had a tag match there with Michael Hopkins, tagging with him against Rebel Storm and J2. But before that, it was
right.
That was the most recent. Before that, it was me against me and Miggy though.
Okay, correct. Yeah. You get a good pop over there, man. Like it's they got their loyalists that come every week, but whenever you're there, man, if it's got a more of a big time feel.
No, thank you, man.
Yeah.
I it's almost like I've fallen into this weird part-timer schedule. It just and like my body's thanking me, but like, man, I got to get out there more.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean that's the goal,
That's the
know,
goal.
and it's the direct experience is the best knowledge, man, out there.
Yeah.
Like you start learning and growing more and then you just realize, whoa, I didn't even realize I've grown to what I used to have been, and that's all comes from our experience, man. And
It's the best teacher.
and it's like we never know too much, and you can always learn more.
I don't know anything, so yeah, I would love to learn everything.
I mean, it's like, okay, young guys come and ask me, stuff about announcing. It's like, dude, I'm still learning, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's weird to give advice because I feel like I need advice too. So
I agree 100%, man.
yeah.
Well, dude, Watts, dude, if there's anything you can think of before I get to my last question here, please do so. If there's any like shout outs or anything you want to plug, please feel free, man.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Wrestling Pro Wrestling. Follow them on Instagram. Follow Millennium Pro Wrestling on Instagram. Follow me at the Big Watts on Instagram. Darth Watts on Twitter. Take showers daily. Drink water, and don't do anything stupid. That's what that's my word. That's my word right there.
Well, cool, man. Local. If you want to plug anything, I was going to ask local promotions you want to put over, but you mentioned WPW and of course MPW, Millennium Pro Wrestling, which their YouTube channel is youtube.com/Millennium Pro Wrestling. Weekly shows every week, and man, Watts, good seeing you, my friend. I'm sure we'll see each other down the road soon.
Absolutely.
We're going to run it. We ran into each other at the forum. We're going to run into each other at MPW. We'll see each other. I'm not worried about that, but good catching up with you right here, my friend.
Absolutely. This has been nice. Thanks for having me on, dude. This is finally glad we got to do it.
Yeah, me too, man. And you are a welcome guest on this show. I'm sure the fans are going to love this because you are indeed, without a doubt, one of Cali's finest. So long, everybody.